Welcome to this week's Akashic Soul Alchemy reading. This week we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do a pick a card reading. So rather than exploring one collective message, I'm inviting you to tune in to your own intuition and discover the soul pattern that is asking for your attention at this moment in your journey. So today we're working with the Akashic Soul Alchemy Oracle, a deck that is created to help you to recognize the hidden patterns, soul wounds, protective behaviors, and soul wisdom that is quietly influencing the way you feel and move through your life. So very often we become so familiar with our patterns that we actually stop noticing them. We simply believe that's just who I am. But what if that wasn't true? What if the way you've been showing up in your life isn't who you really are at all? So what if it is just a protective pattern that once kept you safe? Throughout our lives, we develop survival strategies, right? Some teach us to overgive, some convince us we have to struggle, some encourage us to seek love, approval, or validation outside of ourselves. And many of those become what I call soul patterns, the everyday way that our soul wounds express themselves in our day-to-day lives. The beautiful thing is that once we discover or once we recognize the patterns, we're no longer unconsciously living from it. So recognition is always the first step forwards towards healing. So I'd like you to invite you to just pause for a moment. Okay, take a deep, slow breath. Allow yourself to become fully present without overthinking. Just simply notice which of the three cards your eyes are naturally drawn towards. Card 1, card 2, or card 3. Okay, trust your first instinct. Card 1, card 2, or card 3. Okay, when you've chosen your card, just pop it in the comments. And let's begin. Okay, so card 1 is soulmates. So if this was your card, this card is inviting you to explore the relationships that are shaping your journey at this moment. When we hear the word soulmates, we often think about romance, but soulmate relationships come in so many different forms. They can be friends, children, partners, teachers, family members, right? Even the people who challenge us the most deeply, right? Each soulmate arrives with an invitation, right? Some arrive to support us, some to challenge us, some to awaken us, some to heal us, right? And this card asks you to look beyond the person and instead look at what the relationship is revealing for you. So are you looking for someone to complete you? Or are you waiting for another person to make you feel worthy? Or are you abandoning yourself in order to perhaps keep the peace? These patterns can often reflect aspects of the sister wound, a wound that teaches us belonging must be earned, right? That we need to fit in, that we need to be chosen, that we need to be accepted, or to be enough for everyone else before we can truly belong. The truth is that no soulmate can heal the relationship that you have with yourself. They can inspire it, they can reflect it, they can challenge it, but they cannot replace it. The greatest soulmate relationship you will ever cultivate is the one that you build with yourself. And as that relationship deepens, every other relationship around you begins to change. This week, your invitation is to notice where you're seeking externally what your soul is quietly asking you to cultivate within yourself, right? You're not searching for your missing half. You're remembering your own wholeness. So let me know in the comments how that resonates for you. And card 2 is victim mentality. Okay, so this is really a card that is inviting you to look honestly at where you may have unknowingly handed your power away, right? This isn't about blame. It's not about pretending difficult things haven't happened. Like, many of us have experienced genuine pain, betrayal, loss, disappointment. The pattern that this card speaks to begins after that. It begins when we unconsciously start believing that life is happening to us rather than responding through us. It sounds like nothing ever changes, someone else needs to change first, or this is just how my life is, right? These thoughts often become invisible because we've repeated them for so long. This pattern can be deeply connected to the prostitution wound, right? The part of us that learns that our safety depending on sacrificing ourselves, of giving parts and pieces of ourselves away, right? Like giving parts and pieces of ourselves for approval, connection, safety, love, all of those different things, right? And that teaches us that our worth comes from pleasing others, and that our needs came second to everybody else's needs, that we had to earn love, acceptance, or success. And little by little, we start to stop choosing ourselves. We stop trusting ourselves, trusting our own intuition, and we stop believing that our voice, our opinion, our lives, our wants and needs no longer matter, right? Eventually, we just forget how powerful we really are, right? So today, your soul is asking you to remember where you have given away your authority, or where you are waiting for permission, or where you are settling because it feels familiar, right? So this card is really telling you that although you may feel powerless at the moment, your power has never disappeared. You've simply forgotten where you've placed it, right? So this week, begin calling back your worth, right? Charge what your work is worth, okay? Speak honestly, make a decision that you've been avoiding, or simply recognize that your life is not waiting for someone else's permission to begin, right? The moment that you choose yourself, the pattern begins to change. So if you chose card 2, let me know how that resonates for you. Okay, and card 1 is balance and flow. Now, if you chose this card, then your soul is gently drawing your attention to an area in your life that has drifted out of alignment, right? This card rarely appears when life is flowing with ease, right? Instead, it often arrives when you've been carrying too much for too long, right? Perhaps you've been constantly giving to everyone around you while neglecting yourself. Perhaps you've become caught in the belief that you must always be productive, or you're in hustle and strife and all of those masculine energies, right? Perhaps you are holding on too tightly to control because somewhere inside it doesn't feel safe to let go. Or perhaps scarcity has quietly become your default setting, right? Constantly worrying, planning, pushing, hustling, striving, and trying to stay one step ahead, right? When we live this way, our nervous system never truly rests. We become disconnected from the natural rhythm of receiving. Balance is not about doing less, it's about creating space for both giving and receiving, right? Balance wants us to create time for balance, right? Sounds silly, right? But for action and rest, for doing and resting, for working and taking time out, for certainty and trust, right? So having that balance. So, working for 8 hours, resting for 8 hours, right? There needs to be balance in order for us to move forwards, right? Rather than being in this energy of hustle and strive and doing all of the things whilst neglecting what our soul and our bodies need, right? And this pattern is often connected to the priestess wound, right? Not because you've done anything wrong, but because somewhere along the way you learned that your value came from being capable, dependable, powerful, or endlessly available for others, right? So the challenge that is eventually your own cup becomes empty, right? The priestess is here to be powerful, to be a leader, to be that teacher that you need. But a burnout priestess is no good to anybody, right? So balance and flow is really asking you to come back into balance, right? Taking time for yourself, perhaps even putting your priorities first, your wants, needs, and desires first, bringing your focus back to you. The more that you focus on you, the more that you have time and energy for others, right? So this week, your soul is asking you to become aware of where you are leaking energy, right? Where are you saying yes when your soul is saying no? Where are you trying to control something that needs surrender? Or where's gratitude been replaced by fear? Or where has flow been replaced by force, right? Healing begins by recognizing what no longer belongs, right? So it could be one boundary, 1 hour of rest, one difficult conversation, one moment of gratitude, right? Small shifts can create profound changes, profound transformation, right? So this week, your invitation is simple: restore balance, okay? Not because you've earned it, but because your soul was never meant to live in constant survival. So if you were card 3, then let me know in the comments how that resonated for you. Thank you for joining me for this week's Akashic Soul Alchemy Oracle reading. Okay, I'd love to know which card you chose. If you haven't already, leave card 1, card 2, or card 3 in the comments below. If today's reading has helped you recognize a pattern that's been kind of quietly influencing your lives, remember that these patterns are often expressions of something deeper. They can point towards the soul wound that shaped the way that we think, feel, receive, show up, and relate to the world around us. So if you'd like to discover your dominant soul wound, you can take my free soul wounds quiz using the link below. And if this reading has supported you today, I'd be really grateful if you would like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who may need this message. Until next week, take care of yourself, trust your intuition, and remember, you are not broken, you are remembering who you've always been.